So guys, we're back with a little bit of Shakespeare. This is Tales from Shakespeare. You can't see it at all. By Charles and Mary Lamb. This is a book has like 20, I think, different Shakespearean plays, but they are squashed down into a story tale book like form. Less, it's not like this person said, that person said. It's not in play form anymore. They take some direct quotes from the characters, but for the most part, it's just kind of summarizing a bunch of different plays that Shakespeare did. It's got all the classics in there. It's got Romeo and Juliet and Midsummer Night's Dream and those kind of things, but it also has some really weird, random ones that I've never even heard of, which was really fun, of course. It's cool to hear the different stories, but also the funny thing is Shakespeare had a lot of tropes that he pulled. One of them being there were a lot of twins that just happened to look identical, and people would mistake them for each other all the time, and great hijinks ensued. There was a lot of that going on. But anyway, let's talk about how this one's kind of hard because there's a bunch of different stories, of course, and I can't really critique each one, and also it's like Shakespeare. So overall, the writing is very good. I think that it says the children's classics on this, so this was marketed towards children. And there's nothing in here that's inappropriate for kids necessarily, in that, Shakespeare could delve into some very adult themes, of course. And they keep it all very PG to PG-13, of course. There's a lot of, murder. There's people dying, which I guess is a PG thing. But I mean, and they don't go into great detail, but of course it's kind of tragic deaths a lot of times in Shakespeare's plays. And of course you have a lot of jealousy because husbands think that their wives are cheating. Of course, we don't go into exactly what cheating would mean necessarily, but just, he thought that she loved another man and he was upset. So I guess they would be okay for children. At the same time, it's like, I don't know, Shakespeare, it was not meant for children. And so it seems kind of weird to market it towards children. I wouldn't suggest really this for children. Also, Charles and Mary Lamb chose to use some very large words, some of which I don't really understand. And the flowery language and all that is not really that conducive to children's understanding or desire to hear these stories. And it's just delving into a lot of mostly adult crap that kids probably don't really want to hear. However, for adults, I think it's really nice. I read these in my teen years. I heard them on an audiobook actually, but anyway. And so because of that, I have a lot of, I at least have a cursory knowledge of a lot of Shakespearean tales and, their general plots, and kind of, that just really helps with understanding life in general. Shakespeare is so, our culture is so bathed in Shakespearean references, and you're just supposed to understand them, but you don't necessarily understand them because they don't teach you every Shakespearean play in school or anything. So it's nice to have just a general idea of pretty much every single plot that Shakespeare ever wrote. And they don't do the historical plays, so maybe not every single one, but a lot of them. And the very basic ones like Midsummer Night's Dream, King Lear, Macbeth, stuff that you hear about a lot, they're all in there, and it's nice. It's nice to have a little bit of a background and kind of know the general plot of everything. However, let's talk about whether they actually talk about the whole plot. Because, as you know, probably, maybe, King Lear was another one of the books that was on this list. I read it a while back, and so I know the plot of that, the actual play, very well. And so I paid extra attention when I was reading their version of King Lear in this book. And so I wanted to just report back that overall, the plot is the same. However, they completely took out what I think is the best storyline of the play, which is the Duke of Gloucester, I think is who it is, and his sons. And one son is trying to make the other son less, like, demeaned in his father's eyes. And so there's this whole sibling rivalry thing going on. It's extremely dramatic and ends in tragedy for everyone. And it was, I think, I really felt that part of the story. I thought it was very poignant, and they left that out completely. Again, that's not the main plot, and they did a good job of describing basically the entirety of the main plot. However, I guess Shakespeare is very complex, and all of his characters, at least in what I've read, all of his characters kind of have a backstory and a reason for existing. They're very good, just good to play on the stage because you have so much information about them, even if they're kind of just little side characters. And so I think a lot of the complexities of his plays is lost, of course, when you take out all of these side characters. However, again, for just a cursory knowledge, a just basic understanding of what the plays are, and also, I mean, if you have that basic understanding, it's going to be easier for you to understand if you ever pick up the actual play, because, you know, we're so far removed from that flowery language, it could be hard to decipher. Excuse my dog back here. But anyway, I think that it's good, and I think I haven't really read any other summaries of Shakespeare plays. Maybe there's something that's better, and if you think so, then please tell me about it. But for the summaries that I've read, I think this is pretty good, and I would totally recommend it if you have a desire to understand Shakespearean plays. Oh boy. All right. Next, we're going to be reading a sort of biography type thing called The Thread That Runs So True. And I remember really enjoying it, and I'm so excited because I haven't read it in years, and I remember it being really good. And so hopefully I will come back and be able to report to you that it is as good as I remember it being. But, you know, we'll see how that goes. All right. Talk to you later, guys. Bye.